Manorlords is an up-and-coming game that looks somewhat familiar to Medieval 3 if you crossed it with Banished. Could this be the next big thing? And have I heard that name before? Seriously though, Manorlords. It's a bit on the nose. Manorlords is an up-and-coming game from solo developer Slavic Magic. Yes, this is made by one guy, which makes this even more incredible. Now, I haven't made a video talking about an up-and-coming indie game for quite some time, because there's been a lot going on. We've had Bannerlord come out, it's been absolutely insane. We've had some loads of Total War news and things like that, and there's been so many random things going on in the game community. I think it's time to take a step back and think about the little guy, not really focusing on those AAA developers that are bringing out more and more massive games, but what about these solo developers that need the recognition, especially on projects like this, because this is incredible. As you can see in the background, the gameplay looks gorgeous. The graphics style, it looks so crisp and realistic. A whole living world. A bit like games like Banished on the up-and-coming Ancient Cities, it is based around a city builder as its core mechanic. You'll be starting from nothing in an unknown land, a medieval ruler. You have to build up a village, houses, into a town, and ultimately maybe even a city. Having blacksmiths, farmers, tailors, soldiers, training grounds, and of course lords' manors in order to rule the land. But there will be things coming to try and tear you down. Disasters, crop death, starvation, people deserting. You have to keep it up and running as long as you possibly can. But not only do you have to survive, you have to thrive. Because there won't just be natural things that come for you, but also the man-made kind. And when I say that, I mean other factions. You'll have to defend and attack towns from large-scale armies. You'll be on these full RTS scale battles, which, as you can see, looks very, very similar to the Total War games. Everyone has been waiting for Medieval 3 Total War, and this looks like our in. It looks like something to tide us over until maybe Total War eventually give us something along those lines or something similar. I love the way it is done, and of course it has taken a lot from that franchise, but the way they have the details of the army going in close, but also being able to zoom in and look strategically at the battle as a whole. But these are all affected by what happens throughout your rest of your gameplay. For example, if you have a town and you don't have much food, you're not going to be able to get massive armies. So that's going to completely affect how you do these massive RTS scale battles later on, because you're not going to have the troops. You might need to use more tactics, guerrilla warfare, depending on what troops you have trained and recruit, and also depending on what facilities you have to train these recruits. You might just have an archery range, so you're going to have to stay back when it comes to the RTS battles rather than full horse cavalry charges or even frontline infantry. You may be weaker on that side, but it's all going to have knock-on effects with each other. Looking a bit at the building side, it is all organically laid out. You don't have fixed grid planning like games like Anno and things like that. It's all very simulated a way an actual city would grow. It wouldn't be so planned out. You'd have ideas of what you want it to look like, but it's going to be very random in the way houses pop up and things like that. It's going to look very authentic to the time. Placing out roads, placing out different buildings, not only the houses that they live in, but also the facilities that they use. So much detail on each individual part as well. Fields need to be ploughed. You'll have to get teams of oxen. You'll have to make sure you are looking after those oxen. You'll make sure that you have blacksmiths in order to get iron, but you'll have to have mined that iron before. Maybe you want sheep or cows. They have to be herded in the open pastures, so you need the right feed and things for that. Now, it is inspired, of course, from 11th to 15th century Europe, but it has no precise setting. I think just giving it the slap-on tag medieval pretty much covers what this game really is. Building up from nothing, starting off pretty slow, gathering the resources in order to get the troops in order to win battles, and even conquer other people. You can trade, and it reminds me of the trading and diplomacy screens from games such as Ostriv, which is another cool city builder. You can make allies, and of course, enemies. Now you can trade up infantry, archers, cavalry, you can build fortifications, you can even put units on the walls, very Total War style. Maybe once you've researched other things and you've expanded upon your gameplay, you can then start to look into gunpowder and siege engines. Yes, you can have trebuchets and you can beam your way to victory as you take on the other factions throughout the world. Now at the moment, siege engines and things are in a work in progress, but they will be present in the final game. I think something has to be said about the whole solo development sort of thing. We've seen it in some games such as before, even a game like Ostriv that I mentioned, and city builders seem to be making a big comeback, and especially historical city builders, which I absolutely love. Banished was like the big first one that happened, and then we had later games such as Life is Feudal Forest Village, you have Dawn of Men, you have Ancient Cities, which is coming up soon, and Ostriv, and now Manorlords, and don't forget Lords and Peasants. But there's so many of these historical city builders coming up. It makes me think, is this a comeback? Is this a rise of the historical genre? We've had Bannerlord, we've had Kingdom Come Deliverance, we've had Mordhau, we've now got Chivalry 2 coming out. I think medieval is taking over the gaming industry, and I absolutely love it. One person making graphics like these, the detail on the buildings, the animations, hunting deer, going out ploughing your fields in all weather, and the weather affecting how these fields grow, depending on how much you need to water them. Even small things like the vegetation, the roads that you can see, how the skybox works, how the clouds move. Everything is so well thought out, and then we get into the battles. The battles are something else, and everyone will tell you how Total War they are, but these look a bit different. There's more weight to these battles, because Total War, if you lose a battle, you've still probably got 5, 10, maybe even 20 cities you can just recruit and retrain men from. But if you're starting off as a small town and this is your only dwelling, this is the only place you can get resources from, and this is where you built your army up, it's going to have such a big knock-on effect. Each individual man you lose during these battles, retraining, recruiting more men, especially early on in the game, isn't going to be a possibility. These are going to be things that you have to think about throughout your gameplay, even from the very start. Are you going to go a very militarized, focused gameplay style? Maybe you're going to go more aggressive or more defensive, working on towers, fortifications, walls, more focused on the archers that you can put on the walls. Not only will you have these field battles that we can see in the trailer, but also sieges with the siege weaponry. I'm hoping they add things like onagers and battering rams. Maybe these are even possible out in the field as well. This game has so much potential, and I think it goes without saying that this is one to look for. I'm going to be covering this as soon as it comes out, and even up to its release. I can't wait to get my hands on this. It is set to release fall of 2020. So for you non-American folks, that's around September-ish time. It looks like we're going to have some brilliant games coming out this sort of time, and this is one that I think stands out massively. And to Slavic Magic, the developer, yes, that still blows my mind. I cannot wait to see what you can do with this. I cannot wait to be able to delve into this medieval world, to be able to hunt with my men, to be able to go and build up structures, to be able to start as just a small, innocent village and grow into a massive empire, and the different ways that that can be done. So make sure you stick around the channel if you want to see more of this content. But until then, I will see you in the next one.